Here we are again. It's time to continue our little quest to Symphony of the Night. Also, it's early and I've only been awake for a little over an hour, so I forgot to introduce myself. Hey everyone, this is Chaotic Teal. Castlevania time. Choo-choo. Okay. We do not have a file. Might have to turn down the TV a little bit. There's the H. These letters are so aggressively fancy that it's kind of difficult to tell. Journey back to 1792 in the Transylvanian countryside of Romania. Okay, so a little bit of the cutscenes, it looks like, is getting cut off by the backdrop. But I don't really have an alternative there. Just know that we're losing a little bit of the edges on the left and right sides of the cutscenes, I guess. Because the resolution keeps changing. And we know this guy. So we are actually starting the game as Richter, but our boy Richter here has a few more options at his disposal. Whoops. We can do an uppercut, we can slide, we can't slide on the slope apparently. I also don't actually know how to do the uppercut. Is Symphony of the Night introduced a whole bunch of, like, fighting game inputs for abilities? And I'm bad at them? Anyway, Richter. These are items I'm not supposed to have. Come on. There we go. Oh, we can just keep picking these up, that's funny. I guess that's the better solution than them just going away. Anyway, we don't actually need to be up there.
Dracula, die now and leave this world. You'll never belong here.
Oh, but this world invited me. Your own kind called me forth with praise and tribute.
Tribute? You're a thief. You steal men's souls, their freedom.
Freedom is always sacrificed to faith, good hunter. Or are you truly here by choice?
All I'm here for is you. To hell with your heresy! You're nothing but a blight on mankind.
Ha! Mankind. A cesspit of hatred and lies. Fight for them, then, and die for their sins!
So, Castlevania Requiem uses the redubbed scenes from the PSP release. So we don't get the legendary "What is a man?" and the whole rest of the original PS1 conversation. Functionally, Dracula works very similarly to his fight from Rondo of Blood, since this is essentially supposed to be that fight. But since it's at the beginning of the game, it's substantially easier. We can also do this. This is useful. This actually is absurdly useful for blocking his projectiles. Bonk. The fun thing is that we got a fair amount of parts from our shenaniganry. So that's no damage, which actually might come back to bite us a little bit.
Count Dracula had risen with the aid of the Dark Priest shaft to menace humanity once again. The legendary vampire hunter, Richter Belmont, stood against him and at last brought him down. However, 4 years later, on a glaring full moon night, Richter mysteriously vanished. Maria Renard set out to find him, but knew not where to begin. It was then that fate intervened. Castlevania, the Castle of Dracula, rumored to appear once every century, suddenly materialized from the mist, as if to show her the way. Meanwhile, powerful forces struggled for the soul of a man named Alucard. He who had once fought alongside Richter Belmont against his own immortal father, Count Dracula himself. To purge the world of his own cursed bloodline, Alucard had submerged his vampiric powers and fallen into what was meant to be eternal slumber. But now, he awakens to the cackles of evil and cries of the innocent. The eternal battle of good and evil has come full circle once more. Dracula's castle beckons for you, and no man can say who will emerge victorious.
So there was narration there, but it was exceptionally quiet. Okay, so I don't remember exactly how, but some of our stats as Alucard are determined by Okay, I need to remap controls. Yeah, that'll work. There we go. Also, yeah, that's nice. Got some nice equipment right now. We can backdash. And we can stab people. Or, you know, wolves at the moment. So Symphony of the Night, as you most likely already know, is a very different beast from the Castlevania games that came before it. Movement is a lot more fluid, as we saw with Richter and we're now seeing with Alucard. Cool. But... sorry, they're picking up trash outside. And I'm going to have to wait anyway.
Alucard, what is your business here?
I've come to put an end to this.
Ever the insolent boy? Will not behave? Be gone.
I will do nothing. Step aside, old man.
Such arrogance. Very well. But I shall see you very soon.
Rude. So now, we have no equipment. There is an exploit, at least in the original version of Symphony of the Night, to... also, we're just punching things. There's an exploit in the original Symphony of the Night to keep all of that. If you play things just right. There we go. But I don't remember exactly how that exploit works. Gosh darn it, they're mowing again. And B, that's not how the game's intended to be played. Okay, that's the map button. So the Red Rust is a two-handed sword. It is substantially slower than the short sword we were using, and actually has lower attack. So, and actually it has a lower attack than even just punching stuff somehow. So, its only real benefit is the range. Oh yeah, the main reason that I'm streaming this early, by the way, is that I ended up having plans for later in the day, but I wanted to make sure that I still did stream. So here we are, in the Alchemy Laboratory. Rude. Okay, you can stop. The blood skeletons are not going to stop. Blood skeletons work kind of like dry bones. I mean, they worked that way in Rondo as well, where you knock them down, but they get back up a moment later. Ooh, leather shield. So we can equip shields on our offhand. Really, we can equip shields on either hand. Their main use case is blocking projectiles. I probably won't use them very much because I will forget that they exist. You've seen me play Zelda. Here's another level for us. And there is a life max up. So we've got a little bit more health now, which is cool. Ooh, and we have a sub-weapon now. So just like the Belmonts, we get various sub-weapons throughout the castle. Yeah, those are still up in attack. Unlike Richter, though, we can't use item crashes. We get a lot more options to make up for that fact. The more fluid movement is both a blessing and a curse. Because it means that there's a lot more nuance to fighting enemies in Symphony, and the future Castlevania games in the same style. We'll keep the axe. Okay, I know what's in that room. We're gonna wait to go in that room. Look, it's a door we can't open. I'm glad we walked up and poked it. But here's the save room. That's really what I'm going for. There aren't lives in Symphony of the Night. we just restart from a save point if we start from our previous save point if we die. So we want to avoid doing that for the most part. But now that we're actually in here, in this large dramatic looking room, we have our first boss, and you can tell from the rocking guitar music. So, Slangra and Gelboth, I think, were late game bosses in Super Castlevania 4. I remember the shield exists, doing me a lot of good. Okay, I was gonna say, did that actually take out both of them? No, but now we've got them both. They were both pretty substantial bosses in their own right in Castlevania 4. They were also really excited about the particle effects they could do on the PlayStation back in the day, so there's a lot of those in this game. Many blood. It's Castlevania though, so I'm not sure there's ever been an E-rated Castlevania game. And it's certainly not this one. Fairly certain we're at T for this one, though. No, there's another save point. But yeah, those two boss enemies were substantial in their own right near the end of Castlevania 4, but they've gotten used as intro bosses a lot since then. Ooh, this is actually a weapon that I don't think was in other Castlevania games before this. The crystal is a little rebounding projectile that makes obnoxious noises. But it's fun. Hello. Ah. Poison, by the way, does not do damage over time like it does in a lot of games. Instead, it just drastically lowers our attack. Also, this is salt. It is not a very useful sub-weapon. There we go. There we go. If we can put up with the obnoxious noises, the crystal's really useful for long hallways like that. But I prefer holy water. The holy water, as Alucard uses it, is not quite as dynamic as when the Belmonts use it. Or at least the recent Belmonts. It doesn't make a wave of fire, it just makes a single little fire there. It also helps if I could aim. Ah! Tables. Maybe it's only some chairs you can sit in. Save points, you'll notice, also act as healing. So we get restored to full health every time we save. Sorry, Alucard's got some fighting inputs of his own, and you can buy things that will tell you what those inputs are, but if you use them without the things, you don't need to buy them. So, given that they are goofy input commands, he says, making it obvious that he only plays Smash Brothers. I probably won't be using them that much, but there are some that are legitimately quite useful if you can figure out the inputs. There's a relic that I think is around here that allows us to actually see the names of the enemies that we hit. I don't feel like they're supposed to get all messed up color-wise when you kill them, but I could be wrong. Okay, the Spirit Orb shows enemy damage. It's a little bit unusual that they made enemy names and enemy damage numbers and getting items from candles all into relics that you have to collect in the castle. Oh, these are things. There we go. We're not doing great, though. In an odd case, you have to equip healing items and such in your inventory and use them as a weapon, essentially. You can see there, by the way, now that we have the Spirit Orb, or whatever, we get numerical damage information, which is kind of cool. Don't get me wrong, it's nice that you can turn it off. But it's weird that you have to find it in the first place. These ghosts are annoying. We're leaving now. I want holy water over knife. Oh, you do a lot of damage. Hello. They do a lot of damage. And yet, it straight up throws you back to the title screen. So, yeah, restarting from last save. They do not pull punches. I still want the holy water. So we will need to retread a little bit of what we just did. Get back here. There we go. Cease. Oh good, another leather shield. And when I say oh good, I mean that really doesn't benefit us in any way. We could equip the leather shield on both hands now. Yay! There's no legitimate reason for us to do that. If we had other one-handed weapons, we would be able to equip those on our offhand instead of the shield. And there are a couple of instances, including one that is particularly notable, where it makes sense to have two of the same weapon equipped on both hands. There's the spirit orb again. I do wish... I mean, in a more ideal collection, they would have included... There we go. A setting to choose which dub you wanted to play. Just, for instance, fire boomerang. Okay, if something has use next to it, it's a consumable item. So that fire boomerang is not a proper weapon like our short sword. It's a consumable item that we could throw once, but we probably... Well, given that it is a boomerang, it might come back and we might be able to use it again. Range sounds like a good thing against this, though. So let's give it a try. Okay, it didn't come back, but it did do a crap ton of damage. So it still works out. We are, of course, back to just engaging in fisticuffs with our left hand. So let's go ahead and get that shield back. Especially this early, it helps not to necessarily get hit by projectiles. With that, though, we've actually wrapped all the way around to this entrance area. And created ourselves a nice little shortcut. So there were a couple of loose ends that we've left unaddressed at this point. The biggest one is just above the room we're in right now, with the blinking dot. There was that elevator that we never took. We can also go across that pit that got us into the lower marble gallery in the first place. And I think that's the way we're going to need to go to actually move forward. Okay, so funny thing. Since we are playing this dub of Symphony of the Night, that means that both of our current main projects have protagonists voiced by Yuri Lowenthal. I'm gonna go investigate over here. Also, just to demonstrate there are some cases where dual wielding actually does let you use a weapon dual wielding lets you use a weapon a second time faster than you normally could. The short sword isn't really one of those, though. There we go. You can't really get any further this way, even if you do sort of shenaniganize your way up. We get the Basilard, which, while it says it's a common short sword, really more of a knife. It's got much shorter range than our short sword, but who plays it fast? So that's a good instance where it makes sense to have two different weapons equipped rather than, say, a weapon and a shield. There is, I believe, at least something later on that allows you to see which walls are breakable. It's not just a total crapshoot. There are some early on that I remember being breakable. And there's some, like the one we just broke, that are pretty obvious if you're paying attention. I just wasn't the first time we went through that room. Fair enough. We should get to a save point here soon. By which I mean both that we should reach one soon, and it would be in our best interests to use one. So here we go. We don't need to go back over there, because we don't have anything for magically unsealing magically sealed doors. And we also can't get up to the upper right corner of the room quite yet. Stabby stabby. Let's see, that's the hallway that leads to the elevator. I believe there are a couple of different destinations for this elevator. Yeah, there's one here, which gives us sunglasses. Which lower our intelligence, but raise our defense. Unfortunately, since this is a PS1 game, they don't show up on our character. Oh. Well, that would have simplified things, I guess. That works out. So we really should have gone to that elevator first. But so it goes. How much money do we have? 1585. Cool. The other nice thing is that we can kind of backdash out of some attacks. The timing is more strict than I always know how to respond to, but let's go ahead and save. That can help put some distance between you and an enemy if you're using a close-range weapon like the Basilard. Of course, some enemies are just slow enough that it doesn't matter. Do not want the rebound throw. Let's see. Okay, we did get through and around all of this room. As usual, it's kind of tough to get up to the platforms with the axe armors. But unlike usual, we have a very fast stabby attack instead of a relatively slow whip attack. Stabby, stabby. It looks like 72 is our max for hearts. Nice. I'm gonna go ahead and save again while we're here. The main reason is just to prevent needing to backtrack if I get in over my head. We've already had to backtrack because I died once. I'd rather not have to do it again. Lee-Man. Despite having quicker attacks, Flea-Men are still a huge pain.
Wait, are you human? What are you doing here?
I've come to destroy this castle.
Likewise, I'm Maria, and you are?
Alucard.
Well, if you're a better swordsman than a speaker, perhaps I'll see you again. Farewell.
Wow. That was rather rude, Maria. So that's the not at all important clock room, which appears to be exactly in the center of wherever the castle is. Surely it won't be important later. Also, that was Maria Renard, who we definitely saved in Rondo of Blood, and didn't leave to die because we fell in a pit before we could use the key. You know, that Maria. Not Shadow the Hedgehog Maria. Just to clarify. I don't remember exactly how many years have passed since Rondo of Blood at this point. The opening narration talked about how Dracula's castle rose once every century. But I'm actually gonna hold on to the Bible for now. But part of the issue in Symphony of the Night is that it has not been a century. Our boy Drac is back ahead of schedule, and that's a problem. Or at the very least his castle is. Which usually means he's not that far behind. This is progress. What is up here? Ah. magically delicious. Go ahead and use this just to show it. It's not quite as wide-ranging as it was in Rondo, but it ultimately acts more as a shield, since it follows where Alucard moves, which is quite nice. Oh, hello. We're just gonna stab you a lot, because you don't belong in this world. Not very cash money of you to have an entire woman as a tail. We saw one of these in Rondo of Blood, but only one of them exists in that game. There are more of them in this hallway than there are in the entirety of Rondo of Blood. Also, sometimes the close-range nature of the Basilard is going to interfere with our ability to effectively do things. Welcome to the Outer Wall. We cave story now. Okay, you hurt. You hurt a lot. I'm fairly certain that there's something here. There sure is. The Jewel Knuckle and the Mirror Cuirass. I don't actually know how you pronounce that word. I'm also gonna slap down a roast turkey. Just to heal up a bit. So knowing about that little secret lets us get the Jewel Knuckle and the Mirror Cuirass substantially earlier than we otherwise would. Okay, this is a problem. It doesn't help that I'm being an idiot. There we go. We need a save point, though. I believe that the Jewel Knuckle has a substantial chance to make enemies drop gems. Hence, you know, the name. No need to worry about any bottomless pits in this game. Slightly more need to worry about being an idiot and getting yourself killed. There we go. Water. Okay, if that knight is back, we are not fighting again. I have learned a lesson. That lesson is we can't jump that high. The knight is not back. That is probably for the best. We can't get a second Zircon from that base. I don't actually remember. Uh-oh. Oh, that's a problem. Okay, so I may have screwed up. Okay, never mind, we're good. But we're gonna go back down there. And use this save room that I walked past. Ah, the fear in my heart when that room took a moment to load. I've played through Symphony of the Night all the way once, and most of the way another time. Gladius. Sword of Ancient Rome. Okay. Similar to our short sword. Shoot. Oh right, the thing that I was getting to is that I don't remember, but I think that I'm actually going to stop by the save room again. I think that there might be different damage types in Symphony of the Night. Specifically, slashing, piercing, bludgeoning. And I think that different enemies have different resistances and weaknesses to them. Because that's the only way that I can actually figure out the fact that the Jewel Knuckle... I don't know how I just did a dive kick. Anyway, the Jewel Knuckle did 40 damage to the Axe Armor, despite the fact that I only have 27 attack with it. And I think that's because plate-armored enemies are weak to bludgeoning. Well, my friend, you tried. What is the description? Jewel-reinforced knuckles. I feel like we should have seen a ring or something drop by now. Oh, hey, one of these. I think I actually might be thinking of a different... I think I might be thinking of a different weapon. I also think that I know where to get said other weapon. I've skipped past several doors here on the upper portion of the wall. I wanted to get to the top of the wall first. So yeah, there are 3 doors on that left side that I didn't go to yet. I'm fairly certain I know what the top one is. This one here. I was incorrect. Oh look, missed. Why is this here? The yellow Medusa heads, by the way, have a chance to turn us to stone. Yeah, the soul of wolf, so now we can turn into a wolf. Right now, that's not very useful, though. Is this the one I was thinking of? Yes. These are warp rooms. So now we've got an easy warp all the way back here. And actually, that other weapon I was thinking of is around here. Ooh, though I think you need to have some very specific abilities to get it to show up. That's the first time one of those has managed to hit me. And look, another base alarm. So, since we need specific abilities, as far as I can remember, we're gonna wait. That's one of those things that I might just look up, though, because I remember that specific thing being super nonsensical. Okay. There's something really funny about just dive kicking an armored knight and winning. Anyway, what we want is in here. The long library. Dive kicks are much less effective when the enemy can survive one of them. We still take contact damage. Helps if we don't miss. It's like high jump kick in Pokemon. That's a bronze Quirrus, which doesn't actually improve anything over the mirror one, but we're kind of not supposed to have the mirror one yet. I mean, Takemitsu. Is that two-handed? Yes. And it's lower attack. Ordinarily, the trade-off for a two-handed sword, when your alternative is to dual wield, would be higher damage. I think. Ugh. These things are awful. And I hate them. If they hit you, they inflict Curse. Curse prevents you from being able to use any weapons while it's active. I don't think you can even use a sub-weapon. We've gotten a couple of uncurses from lanterns while we've been in here. So it's not impossible, though I actually don't know if it'll let you use an uncurse on yourself when you're cursed. Which sounds like it would make them a completely useless item. But there's still a use case there. One that we should see soon. Okay, yeah. The books definitely resist bludgeoning. Ah. Okay, first off. Oh, that's the thing that lets us see the enemy names. That is not what I thought it was. But it makes sense that that would be in the library. Knowledge is power and all that. Okay, is this where I want to be? It's not where I don't want to be. There we go.
It's been a long time, old one.
Eh? Why, it's Master Alucard. Come to visit, have we?
I need your help.
Oh, but young master, I could never betray the good count.
You won't go unrewarded.
Really? In that case, just tell me what you need.
Okay.
How about this?
Thank you.
How about this?
Gaibon. That's the name of the other one. So just like in Rondo of Blood, we can buy little tactics videos for the bosses we fought already.
How about this?
There's also a list of all the enemies that we fought, with plenty of room for the enemies that we haven't. there are a few really good items here. I am partial to Joseph's cloak, because that allows you... The cloaks are the only item that actually does change your appearance. And Joseph's cloak, in a reference to the biblical Joseph and his coat of many colors, allows you to just choose the color scheme of your cloak. It's amazing. But it also costs 30,000 gold, which we obviously don't have. Ah, that's what it was, okay. It was half circle up, not half circle down. Let me see. There we go. I mean, these enemies don't bleed, so it's a little less effective than we might prefer. But right, also we don't have that much health. The main item we needed for progression there was the Jewel of Open, which, as the description said, allows us to get past those sealed blue doors. The castle map that we picked up gives us this massive overview of a significant chunk of the castle that we haven't explored yet. I feel like the item that I was hoping for is somewhere in that... Right. Need to finish my sentence. I think the item I was hoping for is somewhere in that upper left section of the library. But I don't think we can get there right now. So we'll just have to keep moving. I need a save point. I can probably take the elevator up. Skip past all those enemies. Minus that one. And then come up to the safe room up here. And since we're up here, I'll probably just head to the clock tower next. The library card is nice because it gives us the ability to teleport directly to the librarian's store. Bonk. Ooh, now that I think about it, we might not be able to make that much progress here. I think... I mean, this is just kind of the pit for where you go if you screw up the jumps up there. But I'm fairly certain there are at least a couple that we cannot get through under our current abilities. Case in point. Because the wolf doesn't actually make us really any faster. I guess we're a little faster once we get up to speed. This piece might look slightly familiar, though. The biggest section, and I wish that I could show it right now, but we don't have all the necessary stuff. As an immediate sequel to Rondo of Blood, Symphony of the Night's castle does resemble that of Rondo of Blood in a couple of locations. And the clock tower is the biggest example of that. Sorry, I'm trying to decide where I want to go next. That spot, that one room that we didn't get to go in, or that one half of a room, past that long hallway that led us to the library, I think that was a door we couldn't open because we didn't have the jewel yet. So, I'm gonna head that way first. I'll go ahead and go back through the doppelganger room just so that I can save. As we've clearly demonstrated, the boss rooms, well, the bosses don't respawn. Once you've defeated them, their rooms are just open. Dive kick. Dive kick. Chances are pretty slim that I'm gonna buy much of anything from the library outside of what we just bought and then saving up for the cloak that I want. Because that cloak is the most expensive thing there. As a lot of people know, Symphony of the Night was the point in the Castlevania series where they changed directions from the more traditional action platformer brutal difficulty to putting the Vania in Metroidvania, which I tend to prefer to call exploration-based platforming, but that doesn't exactly roll off the tongue either. Yeah, it's up here. Rude. Cease your shenaniganry. Get punched in the face. Yay. And that allows us to press that button, which I believe does a couple of things. Whoops. Generally speaking, Symphony and its follow-up games are not nearly as difficult. Also, this is one of the things. Got a library card and an attack potion. But there was another floor like this in a couple of rooms over, and we can already see from the map that that's going to lead to something a little bit more substantial. Bonk. Okay. Not quite getting up there, I guess. Sorry, I really like checking maps. Ugh! Rude. Fine. Good. We're gonna go to the left, but I wanted to save first, because those are doing a lot of damage, and neither of my weapons is great about having the range to safely take them out. Okay, they're doing less damage than I thought, but it still adds up. Dive kick. We're gonna stick with the Bible. I really should be using sub-weapons more. Protect sensitive head parts. Also, I forgot how good the Underground Caverns music is. Okay. I'm not gonna go down this passage. Oh. That guy is. Dive kick. Dive kick. Dive kick better. And my reason for not going down that passage is the nature of this one. I think. Yeah, there we go. We can't come back up through that passage. So it makes more sense to go down the massive pit and then climb up the stairs later. Okay, so, fun fact about Alucard. Water kills him. If we are more than a little bit submerged in water, we just take constant damage. So, this is a problem. This was a bigger problem than I thought. I didn't bother trying to heal there because I wasn't going to make it back. There is an item in the underground cavern that will mitigate some of that. But it is clearly not this way. There's something we can get over here, though. Yes, the Knuckle Duster. They're effectively worse Jewel Knuckles, though. So, since we've now done that, I'm going to save again, because water make body go hurt. And then we'll keep going. That was a lot of fanfare for not very much. Oh, it just keeps counting. There's a pot roast, at least. But now that entire room is full of water. Oh, I see. Okay. Pot roast. Actually, we're not going to be able to get in close enough for the jewel knuckles to be very helpful. So we're just gonna... Unfortunately, these wormy things don't seem to bleed. There's a solid chance we're dead. There's a very solid chance that we're dead. We are dead. I'm not very good at that fight, but I think that I was respecting it too much. Also, we can move the now loading text with the control stick. This is not particularly useful information, but it's fun. Okay. We're now out of that room. We now have our pot roast. Okay, so the stand here and punch snakes in the face strategy, more effective than I expected. Actually. Fighting bosses solely as intended. Crystal Cloak. That, isn't quite what I was hoping it would be. We do have a transparent, outer layer of our cape now, though. Which is kind of neat. It also flickers a lot, though. Oh good, the water went down. Scimitar. Not bad. Resist ice. Helpful with the frozen shades around. Hey, we made it through that boss fight? let's go save again. Toadstool. And this is the base of that staircase that I didn't take earlier. Okay. That made the water stop flowing. These guys perished. Oh, those do a lot of damage. This may have been a foolish decision. This was a foolish decision. I wasn't sure quite how far that underwater section went. The reason I keep going underwater, despite repeatedly acknowledging that going underwater kills you, is that we can get an item here, like I said, that makes going underwater not kill us, but it requires going underwater to get. And I don't remember exactly where it is. That's a frog. Okay, there's a thing here. It requires a little bit of shenaniganry to get. But I think we have to activate something later on to be able to get it. Or to be able to attempt said shenaniganry. That might actually be a good room to show. There we go. So, this is actually a rare case where the blood effects from enemies actually impact the gameplay. When we have Dark Metamorphosis active, we can heal from contact with the blood of our enemies. And that is not even an exaggeration. So, Dark Metamorphosis is situational simply because enemies like the Frozen Shade or the Skeletons don't bleed. They do scream a lot, though. This, I believe, gives us a shortcut back to the entry area. The mermen, as there are so many of in here, they bleed. Pretty much anything that is organic bleeds. That thing that I don't remember exactly how to do, by the way, involves running back and forth through that passage in that boulder and causing a doorway to open up down here. But again, I think we need more than just the wolf form to be able to do it.
Welcome aboard, O Prince. Shall I guide thee across the river?
This ferryman, by the way, is in Rondo of Blood, just in a section of Rondo of Blood that we never saw. At least not this time through. Merman statue. Ah, okay. Using the transparent cloak makes this kind of funny. So I believe it's the merman statue that causes the ferryman to show up at that other spot from earlier. There's not an easy way for us to get back there, though. Because we can't get back up the waterfall right now. I always feel like that should be breakable. It's not breakable. No. Playing this style of Castlevania always makes me really miss Harmony of Despair. My PS3 I mean, I've mentioned this on stream before, but my PS3 doesn't work. It's got some issue with the... I think it's an issue with the actual soldering on the board, such that it would be more expensive to try to fix it than it would to just get a new PS3 at this point. Do we have a disconnect that I didn't notice? It looks like we dropped some frames at some point, but not many of them. The PS3 not working is actually why my first playthrough of Symphony of the Night wasn't complete. I got it on PlayStation Network, and I played through most of the game then. That was 2 years ago, I think? Oh, there's... Okay, the nearest save room is back. So we're gonna go over there. Because, I need to use my sub-weapons more. Anyway, I played through most of the game on my PS3. But then it just stopped effectively turning on, so couldn't really do that. And then I went through the whole process. The mobile phone version of Symphony of the Night was on sale for like $1 or $2 last year. Sometime in the spring, I think. So I got that and went through a whole process of trying to first trying to emulate an Android OS on my laptop. Use the sub-weapons. Trying to emulate Android OS so I could just download it from the App Store there, since I owned the game. And, like, trying to get a controller and casting it to the TV to work. Ultimately decided that was way too much effort, and just played it on a PS1 emulator. Because that's the version of the game that I owned on PS3, so... So yeah, my first and so far only complete playthrough of the game was emulated. But then I picked up this version last year after I got a PS4. Punch, 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 punch. And started playing through Rondo because I wanted to do that first. And I never finished Rondo and got distracted with work and other stuff coming up. At this point, I've also watched a few different playthroughs of this game. Though I think that I do still enjoy Aria of Sorrow more. At some point, I'll probably have to stream through that one. I streamed the end of my first playthrough of Aria a couple of years ago. But anyway, I don't have a working PS3, so I can't play Harmony of Despair. I did do a multiplayer playthrough of it for the channel a few years ago. That was actually kind of like the second or third project, though I haven't counted it as such. They actually did release Castlevania Grimoire of Souls, which looks to have a similar premise, but it was released on mobile for all of about 10 minutes, I think last year, and I think just last week it came out on Apple Arcade, which does give me some hope that eventually it'll be available on anything useful. But I mean, I don't really have any grounds to snark too much at Apple Arcade. Darn it. I just don't have anything that can use it. But point is, Harmony of Despair is really fun, and I'd get the 360 version, but for whatever reason, only the PS3 version has local multiplayer. Harmony of Despair definitely would benefit from a Switch or a Steam re-release, though. There's been rumblings of a Castlevania Advance Collection coming pretty soon, or at least in the near future. Which would be fantastic if it's true. Hopefully, with a Castlevania DS collection coming shortly after. Mostly, I just want to be able to play Circle of the Moon and Order of Ecclesia. I've got all the other Game Boy Advance and DS Castlevania games. And I've watched a playthrough of Circle of the Moon. I hate these things. So much. Ha. Oh, well, guess we're using holy water now. Not that that's a problem. Fine. Oh, arrows hurt. Anyway, the GBA and DS Castlevania games are really good. Just speaking generally. I had a hard time getting into Harmony of Dissonance when I tried to play it a few years ago. But at this point I'm considering just making it an unresearched playthrough on the channel at some point a ways down the line. I want to kind of keep some distance between similar projects. So, I mean, Rondo into Symphony is a little bit different because Symphony is a direct sequel, and they're both included on this same collection, so it just kind of made sense. Granted, trying to keep some distance between similar projects is exactly the opposite of what I've been doing for most of the last year. Given that almost everything on the channel has been either Mother series or Zelda series. But now that I've gotten through pretty much all of the 2D Zelda games on the channel, I want to do things a little bit differently. I do have the next couple of projects planned for after Symphony.
Destiny awaits, O Prince.
Thanks, Ferryman. I've got the next few projects planned out for after Symphony and Spider-Man. And then, who knows? The only thing I can say for sure is that the Ferryman is too fast, and it's a problem. There's a good chance I'm going to die. Slow down. Boatman, please. Oh, I was so close. That was very sad. At least I saved. Anyway, the only things I can say for sure are that I want to do Sonic Adventure sometime in the not too distant future. Probably sometime next year. And I want to play the sort of side story game to Spider-Man before Spider-Man 2 comes out. We're just gonna keep a low profile this time. I want that shiny, but I can get it later. Beyond that, I'm not really sure. I'm hoping sometime in the similarly not too distant future that I can pick up a 3DS capture device. That way I could do things like Fire Emblem Awakening, or Echoes, or probably not Fates, but maybe. Or DS games without having to emulate them. but I intended to get one in the next couple of months, but something else came up that was a comparably expensive purchase. So it's probably going to be early next year before I can reasonably buy a 3DS capture device. I'd also like to do Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga at some point, though I'm undecided on whether I'd want to play the Game Boy Advance version or the 3DS one. The 3DS one is good, don't get me wrong, but it has the unfortunate affliction of being a Mario & Luigi game released after Dream Team, in that the art style was pretty drastically changed, and I'm not alone in feeling that the newer style isn't as expressive as the original. So we'll see on that one. The main obstacle being that I don't currently own the Game Boy Advance version. I lost my childhood copy a long time ago. I mean, I can always pick it up off the Wii U eShop. But again, things to figure out later. It's hard to want to reach a stopping point in a game like this because of how easy it is to get into the one more thing mentality. Yeah, those still do a lot of damage. I say as though I had any compelling reason to believe they wouldn't. This is not where I want to be. There we go. That'll work. Nunchaku. Those... Okay. That's a two-handed weapon. I think I'm gonna stick with my scimitar jewel knuckle layout right now. My current plan is just to kind of finish up exploring the underwater sections of these couple of rooms. Ugh. The knockback in Symphony of the Night is kind of hilarious, especially underwater. That exploit to keep your Alucard stuff at the start of the game actually involves taking advantage of how the knockback works. Oh, interesting. That's something that I hadn't really processed before. Ah. Okay, we are getting to a dangerous point on health. Getting to a very dangerous point on health. Let's slap down a pot roast. So, I thought you were dead. Oh good, there's a life max up. So the knockback in this game is, in some degree, proportional to your defense relative to the damage taken. Also something to notice, slashing damage causes blood from enemies that bleed, but bludgeoning damage does not. So when I punch stuff, it doesn't bleed. Something to keep in mind if you're trying to use Dark Metamorphosis. I do not know for the life of me what gets that thing to start showing up. Oh well, I was hoping we were going to be able to do this today, but no. So we'll just make our way back to the save point earlier. Kind of end things off there. I'm definitely enjoying streaming more now that I've changed how I'm structuring and how I'm, or in what I'm streaming. So, I've still got no intention of stopping anytime soon. So I don't need to worry about that. But I am gonna be stopping this particular stream now. So thank you very much for watching. We'll be doing something in the creativity, productivity realm tomorrow. I've got a couple of different ideas. And then we'll be picking Spider-Man back up on Saturday, and coming back to Symphony of the Night next Thursday. Not at this time, though. Well, actually, I guess close to this time, because we're about at the point that I would normally be starting to stream. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.